Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a philosophical text that's, well, it's pretty profound, kind of melancholic, but honestly, it is completely transformative. It's basically a giant mirror held right up to humanity, reflecting the stark, undeniable contrast between what we are currently settling for and what we actually have the potential to be. It's asking us to look closely, probably closer than we ever have before, at the state of our world, our society, and most importantly, our own inner lives. Are you this? Talk about a jarring way to open a text, right? The source material definitely doesn't hold back, and it sure doesn't ease us in. It immediately challenges us to confront this massive, deeply uncomfortable gap between our ultimate human potential and the gritty, often disappointing reality of our daily behaviors. It forces a moment of unfiltered self-reflection right out of the gate, basically demanding that we ask ourselves who we really are when no one else is looking. So, why the aggressive opening? Well, it illustrates exactly why the author of this text is so frustrated. The text posits that the human body, and just human life in general, is an extraordinarily rare and precious form. It's supposedly coveted even by the gods. We are supposed to be something magnificent. Yet, the grand tragedy highlighted throughout this work is that this divine gift is currently masked in a degraded, shameful state of petty existence. We've been handed this incredible vessel with immense capability for greatness, but we're actively and almost casually squandering it day in and day out. And look, the author isn't just throwing around lofty, abstract, philosophical concepts here. They give us some incredibly visceral, granular examples of this daily degradation across society. We see Ramjani, a beggar, who chooses to ask for alms, abandoning self-reliance, even though he has completely healthy limbs. There's Nesiban, risking public health and compromising her own dignity despite carrying terrible diseases. We see Pyare, a servant enduring severe abuse and daily humiliation, simply out of a paralyzing fear of losing his job. And Sukha, whose cravings actually push him to excitedly seek out spit-covered leftovers at public feasts. The author is neutrally but firmly pointing out how basic human dignity is being compromised at an individual level. Every single day, people are basically trading their divine potential for the absolute lowest denominator of survival. From there, the text rapidly zooms out to paint a picture of a world practically consumed by violence and exploitation. You've got Leela killing hundreds of fish daily for a living, Jiva and Bucha engaged in the mass slaughter of birds and animals, Ganpati's gang making a name for themselves through widespread decorsity and theft. The source material portrays a society entirely dominated by fraud, alcoholism, injustice, and relentless violence. It's this overarching ecosystem of exploitation. And the point here is that these aren't just isolated incidents. These demonic tendencies have become the systemic norm. They're the accepted baseline for human interaction in a broken world. Beautifully scented golden pots that, when opened, make your nose rot from the stench inside. Wow. It is an incredibly powerful, striking visual metaphor. The author uses this literal gut punch of an image to heavily critique the hypocrisy found within religious institutions. These are places ostensibly meant to bring humans closer to the divine, right? Places that are supposed to act as sanctuaries from all that decay we just talked about. But according to the text, beneath their shiny, beautifully scented exteriors, they are hiding foul deeds and profound moral corruption. The very institutions we rely on for salvation are in fact part of the rot. What's really crucial here is how the text systematically breaks down the way different factions of society react to this pervasive moral decay. And spoiler alert, absolutely no one is immune. On one side, we have the powerful, meaning the wealthy, the strong, and the educated. According to the text, their cleverness is purely used to create elaborate hypocrisies, and their power is strictly used to exploit and oppress those beneath them. But on the flip side, the weak aren't let off the hook either. The text notes that cowards commit hidden sins, quietly adding to the decay from the shadows, while the feeble simply resort to begging, entirely abandoning their agency. Every single pillar of society, regardless of where they sit in the power dynamic, is deeply and tragically compromised. True humanity stands in a corner, sobbing. The author then directly demands our mental participation with a series of piercing rhetorical questions. Who shares their plate with the hungry? Who actually sacrifices themselves to help victims? Whose livelihood is built purely on honest, uncompromised earnings? Who can see another person's wealth and beauty without immediately feeling a pang of dark envy? The text states that true humanity has been searching for such genuinely selfless individuals for ages, but they can literally be counted on one's fingers. By asking these questions, the text is forcing you to silently evaluate exactly where you stand in this moral equation. Are you part of the few, or are you part of the overwhelming majority? So this brings us to the core dichotomy of the human condition as presented in the source. On one hand, we have the ultimate tragedy. We're wasting our brilliant intellect and our immense capacity on destructive, trivial actions, effectively making ourselves slaves to a hellish reality of our own creation. We're trapped in a cycle we built. But contrast that directly with our true potential. If humans actually recognize their true selves, the text argues we are the emperor of emperors. We are masters of nature's forces with the genuine capability to transform this hellish world directly into a heaven. The contrast between the misery we are creating and the magnificent reality we are actually capable of is simply staggering. Okay, so how do we bridge this massive gap? How do we actually get from a society that leaves true humanity sobbing in a corner to becoming the emperor of emperors? Well, the text offers a highly specific, actionable solution. 15. Just 15 minutes. The author pleads with the reader to carve out just 15 minutes of their day. No matter what other religious rituals, hectic schedules, or daily routines you are bound to, this humble 15-minute block is presented as the universal prescription for real, tangible, lasting change. Let's actually break down exactly how to use those 15 minutes to cultivate that self-awareness. Step 1. Find a quiet place to sit peacefully every single day. Just completely disconnect from the chaos. Step 2, ask yourself the hardest possible questions. What am I? And am I actually fulfilling my fundamental duty? Step 3, honestly confess your negative, demonic habits to yourself. The text stresses that you must be completely impartial here. No false testimony allowed. You have to act as a fearless truth teller in your own mind. And finally, step 4, reflect on the consequences of your actions and ask if this is truly the path to your ultimate welfare. The author swears by this method, stating that anyone who rigorously applies this honest self-examination will finally pierce through the illusion and see reality. Which leaves us with this final, echoing thought from the text. Can we recognize our true form? The source material absolutely guarantees that those who make the effort to understand their reality through honest, daily introspection will find their way. It's a profound challenge to step out of the cycle of societal decay, stop settling for a compromised existence, and actively reclaim your divine potential. So before you move on with your day, will you take those 15 minutes to find out?